And no one is curious about me in any way, shape, or form. Yes, young lady. I could just start singing Hey Mr. Tambourine Man. Or Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Young lady, yes.
What's the meaning of life?
42.
Yes. Yeah.
The Brit lady who was here earlier, where should the 12 questions decide, you know, where you should be in the company? She should just get the Hogwarts sorting hat. I think it does the same thing. Or use the Voight comp test, you know. Yes, young sir?
Weren't the guys doing the World of Warcraft investigations really just brilliant in figuring out a way to get paid for playing games?
Yes, it was a genius way to waste our money. I think the most genius thing was that so many of them were playing it that they had to have another team to make sure that the people in World of Warcraft, and this is true, that the people in World of Warcraft weren't spying on other members of the NSA pretending to play World of Warcraft. Because at one point they found out that everyone in their section of Azeroth? Yeah, don't pretend like you don't know. Was just them. Yes?
So, when it comes to things like what the NSA knows and why they know these things,
yeah,
and Snowden, you know, you asked who here supports Snowden.
Yes.
I don't think anybody in this room could be in this room without at least partially supporting why he did what he did,
yes,
regardless of how he did it.
Yes.
So is it that you really have a problem with what he did or how he did it?
I don't know. I have this problem. I have this question. Is that he said he just wanted to let us know how we were being spied on. Well, then why was some of the information he released was how we spy on other countries? That seems inconsistent. I'm not going to say we shouldn't spy on other countries, because that's an argument. Maybe we shouldn't spy on other countries, but I think we should. Yes.
So, if you're going to put your super PAC to good use, would you be willing to run for office next time?
I don't have a super PAC anymore. I don't have a super PAC anymore. I had a super PAC called Colbert Super PAC, and then I had a 501c4, which was Colbert Super PAC SHH, which stood for SH, which could take unlimited and untraceable money. I took all the money from Colbert Super PAC and I put it into Colbert Super PAC SHH, and then from there I put it into another unnamed 501c4, and from there it went somewhere else. And I've challenged the press to figure out where the money went. Because anyone can do this with their Super PAC money. Because I did it, and it's all legal, and no one can ever know, no one can ever prove where it went. So I don't have the money anymore as far as you know. But I got a nice car, man. But I ran twice. I ran for president of South Carolina twice. Both times they wouldn't let me. Anyway, yes. Yes, sir. That man is bidding on me, I think. I think this is celebrity date night. Yes?
Mr. Colbert, I'm a huge fan. I try to live my life based on the tenets you say in your show.
How wise.
But as a scientist, I have beef with you.
Okay. You have a scientific beef with me.
Jon Stewart has had me and Gus Dyson on 10 times on the show. You've actually had him on 9 times.
Yes.
Why do you hate space?
I had Neil on first, okay? Jon Stewart tried to take a girl. But I will point out that Neil demoted Pluto, our 9th planet. So I don't think he gets a 10th trip to my show in honor of our 9th planet. Yes. Hello. Hi.
Hi, this is a two-part question.
That's very selfish. Yes. Someone just lost their question, by the way.
They're short and sweet.
Okay.
The first question is, what's your position with Bitcoin? And the
I've
second
taken a
question-
huge position with Bitcoin, and I can't imagine how that could possibly go south for me. Yes, what's my position on Bitcoin? What's the second half?
The second question is, if you were a superhero, which one would you be?
You all right? My superpower against you. Bitcoin, I don't know. I think it's fine, I guess. I don't understand gold. I don't. You know, I love those. Gold never loses its value because it's shiny. I'm really most of when the apocalypse comes, I don't want to be invested in Bitcoin or gold. I want to be invested in sheep, potable water, and tradable women. In the atmosphere, Ryan Erlord. Bitcoin, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like a really fun game that got completely out of control. Which is all money, I suppose. All money is a fun game that got completely out of control. And, you know, money's the root of all evil. Bitcoin is virtually evil. But it's not evil. Yes?
Hi, Stephen. Besides security and bears, what else are you passionate
Excuse me one second.
Sure.
I would want to be able to who can be invisible and fly? Superhero. Anybody? The Invisible Woman can fly? Really? From Fantastic Four? How does she fly? Her force field allows her to fly? Then I would be the Invisible Woman. I've got the hints for it. Great. I'm sorry, so besides what?
Besides bears and security, what else are you passionate about in life?
I do not like bears. I am passionate about them, and that's a true thing. That's not just my character, that's me. I'm actually afraid of bears. Rightly so, I think. What am I passionate about? I like The Lord of the Rings. I like Tolkien's work a lot. It's probably, I listen to lectures on it. I read books about his life. I read about, Grimm's word webs and all that kind of stuff. I love, the development of Indo-European languages and that kind of stuff. I like the sources that excited him to make his world. And that right now, that's the thing that I'm spending most of my time doing when I'm not doing my show. Clapping for Indo-European language.
Hello, Stephen.
Hello.
How come you and many people I know from Charleston, South Carolina have no Southern accent?
I don't know what y'all talking about. Well, but I tell you one thing when I travel to South Carolina. I grew up, my parents are from Larchmont, New York. I grew up in Charleston. That's the only place I knew. But I remember as a kid seeing on television and seeing in movies that if they wanted to pick someone as dumb, they would give them a Southern accent. And my family are academicians, and so I was determined to seem smart. Not necessarily be smart, but seem smart. And so I decided to talk like John Chancellor, or Cronkite. I wanted no one to know where I was from at all. So it was at a very early age, I made a decision to, as we say on the show, udesse quam esse, to seem to be rather than be. I dropped some Latin, motherfuckers.
All of us here wish you luck in your company, CloudFog.
Thank you.
See you on the exhibit floor next year. I did have a serious question. Yeah. Some people have said that the Snowden revelations and all the conversation about them have distracted us from other serious security threats, APT, stuff like that. Do you have an opinion on that?
What is the initial you used?
APTs.
What does that mean?
Advanced persistent threats.
I think I've proven that I am not qualified to answer your question. There's no greater threat to our security than not knowing where the money came from and not voting. Those are the two things that are. All the problems come from those evils: ignorance and cash. Yes.
Truer words are never spoken. I would like to crowdsource Pinterest and Tweetiness to ask you a simple question.
Do I know you? Have we met before?
We do now, right?
Wow, you're really familiar.
Well, I'd like to be more familiar.
Come on.
My simple question is, I think he should be here every year. Should he come back next year?
Yes.
Hey, huge fan. I'm very happy to see you here. My question is kind of twofold. One kind of a joke and one serious. If Snowden and Putin were to meet on OkCupid, what do you think their first date would be like? And then the second part, which is actually...
Who's the second person?
Putin.
Oh, Snowden, Putin, okay.
Yes, yes.
I thought you said Snowden and gluten.
My second question would be, where is the logical end of the Snowden drama?
They met on OkCupid. Obviously, they'd go for a shirtless tiger hunt. First date starts slow. And they invade the Ukraine. And where does the logical end? I think the logical end is that he eventually comes home. I think he eventually comes back to the United States. You know, it's like the draft dodgers in the 1970s were eventually pardoned by Carter and they came home. People might get to a point where they don't actually want to be surveilled that much, and general public opinion will swing in the direction of not hoisting him from a petard, and he'll be allowed to come home, but it'll probably be 10 years. Let me tag that by saying I don't have any idea, but I would imagine that's not a crazy thing to say. Does that sound like a crazy thing to say? Thank you. Yes.
Just a technical question about CloudFog. Is it true that you're using fully homomorphic encryption, or are you working on any other techniques?
We're croisoning everything. Non-autologous croisoning. If you're not croisoning, you got to get on board. Yes, sir.
You said you don't feel qualified. I think you possess unique qualifications.
Thank you.
The security world seems to be polarized rapidly, and we're forced into caricatures, evil, snidely kind of, or false ignorance. And we're struggling in many ways to figure out how to work in the middle, to do things on a day-to-day basis. And in politics and economics, that's been the case for, I mean, you quote Kissinger, a long time. Do you have any experience from those realms that we should be considering now in security?
Well, let me go back to your question for a second. When you say you're between sort of the Snidely Whiplash model and the ignorance model, what are examples of Snidely Whiplash and ignorance? Ignorant of what and Snidely about what?
I think it's more the false ignorance, that we pretend that bad things aren't happening because it's easier to pretend those things.
Bad things aren't happening in your industry in terms of cryptography and security?
How it's being directed or chosen not to be directed.
For instance, like the accusations made against the RSA. How many people here believe they took the $10 million and weakened the encryption or weakened the random number generator? Anybody? Okay, how many people think that they did this is a false accusation? Of the people that just applauded, how many of you work for RSA? No one's clapping. All right. I don't really know your industry well enough to know, how much that false ignorance is. False ignorance in what I do, I always say to people who are backstage before they come on my show, people often say, do people know what's coming on your show, or the people you interview out in the field? And they do. I always say the same thing to everybody backstage before the show begins. I say, have you seen the show? I want them to know what's going on. And then I say, well, I do the show in character, and he's an idiot. And he's willfully ignorant of what you know and care about. Please disabuse me of my ignorance and we'll have a great time. He's willfully ignorant. I think a lot of people in politics and a lot of people in media are willfully ignorant in order to win an argument. That their end is not what is true or to solve a problem. Their end is for positioning and power. And what is the answer to that? Don't lie. I mean, to encourage people to not to lie. Because what you're really talking about is lying. False ignorance is just lying. So I don't know. That you learned in kindergarten, or you didn't, I hope. You know, I don't know how to help. Yes, sir.
Sir. Hello. So if you were 30, moving to LA.
If I was 30.
If you're a little older.
I can't wait to get there.
If you're a little older, if you're 30, moving to LA in a few weeks with no connections, what improv troupe would you join?
Oh, I don't know. There was a guy, my first director, I started as an improviser in Chicago. My first director was a guy named Jeff Michalski, and he teaches improv and has a theater in LA. Jeff is an amazing improviser, a great teacher too. Jeff Michalski, don't ask me to spell it, but Jeff Michalski. Yeah. Yes.
Hi, Steve. Such a pleasure to speak with you. I'm a huge fan.
Thanks for having me.
My husband Brian says hi, by the way.
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
How is he?
He's great. Thank you
Did
for
the thing
asking me.
clear up?
Oh, yeah. So my question is, CloudFog, what's your theme dance? I've seen your moves, and I'm really
My theme dance, the CloudFog dance. Our logo is this.
Thank you.
Steve, loved your star turn in Desolation of Smog.
Oh, thanks very much.
I want to know two things. Number one, can you forgive God?
No. Go to your second one.
How does the movie end in the next installment?
I can't talk about that. Nice try. You almost broke me. Can I forgive Gollum? Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, he had the ring for 500 years. I don't think I would do any better. You know, if you think you do better, can you forgive Gollum? You and I are both wonderful people. Frodo tries to, you know, Frodo does, until of course he takes it from him and says, if you touch me again, you know, you'll be dead, you know. Yeah. I just want to talk about Lord of the Rings with you now. Yes, sir.
Hello, Stephen. How are you?
I'm fine. Great. That's your question. That was one question. Yes.
No, Stephen, so apologies for the RSA folks. It's not related whatsoever. I'm a huge fan of the show, specifically the Score Report.
Sure, thanks.
As a 3-time air guitar champion, I noticed you have some savvy air guitar skills.
Like air guitar, air piano, air drums, air baritone horn.
Okay. So what is your favorite, and would you accept a challenge for an air guitar competition?
Perhaps a team in New York, and we could set it up. I would consider that. Probably "Sympathy for the Devil" is the greatest air guitar song you could play. That would be my guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I've been waiting for years for something else like that. Yes, young sir.
I've been preparing here. I was just wondering if you could give us a special edition of the word for today.
Which brings us to tonight's word. Crypto-strippogram. Yes, sir.
So,
I would have done. I didn't know we would have monitors. I could have done a word. Oh well, next year. Yes.
Oh, okay. So you could make jokes about D&D and Star Wars until the cows came home, and I would just throw money at you. You know, it's a perfectly. I've got some if you want. So you could do anything to your topic. A lot of comedians are very successful just doing, you know, bits about pop culture and so forth. Why politics? Why do you spend so much time on it?
Well, when I was younger, I didn't do anything political. I didn't do anything even topical. As a matter of fact, I would myself, a guy named Paul Danello, a girl named Amy Sedaris, all worked together for years, and our rule was we wouldn't make any topical references in any way, because we wanted the joke to still be funny 10 years or 20 years from now. I guess we thought we were going to be in the Smithsonian or something. But then, when I started working for Jon Stewart, he invited me, because it was the Daily Show was a very topical show, so you had to keep abreast. I always liked the news, I just didn't do jokes about it. And he invited me to have an opinion about the stories he was interested in, the political stories. And it turned out I had one. I didn't realize I had such an opinion. And so much of our news cycle is wrapped up in politics, because the politics always feeds the beast of the 24-hour news cycle. because politicians will talk to almost anyone. And so as a shadow of the news, I can't help but talk about politics a lot, which makes the show hard sometimes, because I'm not always interested in being angry. It's kind of exhausting to be, and I'm almost always angry about politics. But you don't want to go on the air and be angry, you want to go on the air with a joke. So our job is to be angry in the morning and spend the next 6 to 7 hours distilling that anger into a joke. And hopefully we did that, actually made it into a joke. But really, I'd love to not talk about politics. You know, sometimes there's real news that isn't politics on, and I just couldn't be more thrilled. I couldn't be more thrilled. Yes?
Mr. Colbert, I'm curious about how your character's life crosses into your personal life. And one of the most uncomfortable interviews I think I ever watched on your show was with Jane Fonda. And I wondered if you spent that night at home on the couch.
Jane Fonda came on my show, and right at the beginning of the interview, really early on, she got up out of her chair and crossed and got in my lap and stuck her tongue in my ear and just started kissing on my head. And there's still a little Barbarella there. She's quite very, very, very fit 70 years old. And after it was over, and she was up on me, as what my producer said, remember when Johnny Carson and the spider monkey got on Johnny's head, and Johnny doesn't know what to do, so he freezes? Jane Fonda was your spider monkey. And so we just let it was fine. I was pretty darn uncomfortable. I was definitely out of character. And one of my property masters went out and bought me a dozen roses to give my wife when I went home that night. And I walk home, and she goes, oh! So I walk in and I hand her the rose, and she goes, oh, then what happened? And I said, well, Jane Fonda was on the I don't want them. And then I said, just watch. You watched it that night. She saw how uncomfortable I was. And that's really, I was most uncomfortable. I didn't want to portray in any way that it was pleasant. On air. Yes.
Yes, sir. I have a two-part question. One serious and one more or less less serious. First question is, did the Snowden disclosure influence your use of telecommunication technology? Did you start looking for something more secure? And second question is, would you market your software to individual retail consumers?
The first part is, well, that's simply the hallmark of the Snowden revelations to me, is that anything you can imagine is happening is. And so it seems a little bit like sweeping the tide to worry too much about it. Unless your job is to worry about it, but I don't really, I don't necessarily, want people reading my emails, but I'm not a spy. I don't run, a crime syndicate. So, I mean, I've got privacy. I don't think so. I don't want people to know, but I didn't really go running for cover for a new way to encrypt. I don't even know if I encrypt now. I have Yahoo Mail. Is that encryption? And then the other part is I would happily sell you CloudFog. It's not available to the general public yet.
So you would not invest in a self-destructible phone, is that correct?
A self-destructible phone?
It is being currently developed by Boeing.
Oh, I saw that. If you turn it on, it erases everything. It's like, how does that work?
I think you program it and it self-erases everything you entered, all the data, after a particular time.
I've got a new application. It's called Bonfire. You shove your computer into it, and Bonfire does the rest. How many people here have a product that has the word fire in it? Firemon, fire eye, pink eye, cyber conjunctivitis. Yes, number one.
Colbert, huge fan. My wife's a huge fan.
Excellent.
You're amazing. Thank you.
All right. I have affection for you right now.
How does your evil twin feel about CloudMon?
About CloudLon?
CloudFog, I'm sorry.
No, CloudLon was actually the beta version of CloudFog. flew it down the lawn one day and it was all foggy and went, cloud fog. Because the fog was encrypting the lawn. I couldn't see it. Now I've given you the basis of cloud fog. Yes?
So what is your evil twin's position on said product?
Who's the evil twin? The guy on the show or me?
No, the guy on the show with the mustache that looks just like you?
Oh, no.
There's a skit.
Esteban Roberto?
That is possible.
Roberto Riporto Gigante! Yes. Yes. Hold on 1 second. I think someone's been texting me. Hold on 1 second. What? Look, where? Go over there? Go over there. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hi, Stephen. This question comes from my 15-year-old daughter, Mary, who's a huge fan. I think you're okay, too. She's wondering if you would recommend, what you recommend for a career. Should she get into security or something else?
I find acting is so stable. Poetry, big money in that. What do you have to be? Do you have to be good at math to do your job? Logic? This guy's the only one who answers all our answers. Invisible woman over here says, is she good at math?
She is good at math.
Then yes, do what you do.
Yeah, and you made it look a lot more cooler by being here too. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice. Two more questions. We got two more here. Two more questions. Or one more. I think that was one, and then this is the last one. Make it good. No pressure.
So I'm one of the computer professionals who signed the letter supporting Edward Snowden.
Okay.
And you're saying that ignorance and money are the worst things.
Yes.
But many people said to me, oh, that was really brave. So it seems like with the NSA, what we're fighting is fear, and with ignorance you can teach people, and with money you can donate. But what can we do about
Cowards.
fear?
What can we do about fear?
What can we do about, well, maybe...
People who are afraid to do what he did?
No, yeah, people who are afraid to stand up and say, I'm opposed to the NSA. I mean, you had 10 hands raised here. I've talked to 10 times that many people who are opposed to it.
What can you do about fear? I don't know. I find it hard to be afraid when you're laughing. But I don't know how that helps somebody who knows something that they think the rest of us should know but is afraid to tell us. I think one of the first things would be to not prosecute Snowden. And that would, so again, it's not going to happen right away because he may have broken the law. You know, I'm not sure if he did. I don't know now. Did he break the law? Yes. Well, then you've got to prosecute. Yeah, I don't have a very good answer for you. I'm sorry. But here's the thing. Maybe he should come back and be prosecuted. One of the things I remember thinking about after the Bush administration left office, and there was a lot of talk about whether they tortured people, and there would be no investigation. There was going to be no investigation of that because they had done, because those who thought that they hadn't tortured people thought there should be no investigation. Those even who thought that they had possibly tortured people said there shouldn't be any investigation because they had kept the country safe, or it was for a higher cause or something like that. And what are we going to do? But I think that real courage is not necessarily, and I'm not saying I don't have it myself, I'm not being an exemplar of anything, I want to be clear about that, is that if you think it's the right thing to do for your country, and it's illegal, one of the right things to do for your country is to take the consequences for having broken the law while you do the right thing for your country. So I think it's a better model. Well, folks, this was a delight. I thank you so much for having me. Do check out CloudFog. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 2014 RSA Conference Keynote Program.
See us again next year.